everyone. It is currently Friday, July 13th. It's currently 2:16 in the afternoon, and I am going to start writing for the first time in over a month now since the last time I wrote. So basically, I'm still working through Like Father, Like Son and my poetry book. The poetry book is going to be at a bit of a standstill. I'm going to push that off until later this month because I need to work some things out with that, and I've just got some other things I need to work on with the book, with Like Father, Like Son. And one of the big things that I've been kind of puttering around in my head recently is reworking a couple of the chapters in terms of developing the relationship with Mara and her partner, because I kind of want there to be some more little moments with them, and I need to kind of like explain their like relationship a little more, because I feel like it's not really well explained, like what their kind of status is, because it's like I want the relationship to be like she really likes him and there's obviously a romantic connection between the two, but she's not willing to like get super involved with it because, for one, he's her actual like co-worker, he's her partner, for God's sake, and for two, she's so focused on figuring out this killer that they're looking after and kidnapper, and then also dealing with her own personal problems, dealing with the kind of the reasoning why she's a cop in the first place. And so I kind of want to rework a couple chapters. Like, I'm going to read through what I have so far, which is chapters 1 through 8, and mostly with Mara's perspective, really, just the chapters that she has, and seeing whether or not I can rework something with the two of them, and kind of making sure that there's a little bit more, you know, little things that kind of indicate, you know, that he's got these feelings for her too, and it's evident, but they can't do anything about it, really, at least at the moment. So I think I'm going to do that, and then I think later today when I get home, I'm going to actually start writing the 9th chapter. I don't know how far I'm going to get with all of my writing today, but it is going to be a writing day, because right now, I just finished Tone Topple yesterday, which was kind of like a okay going for my first time doing it, and then tomorrow starts the biannual bibliothon, and so after today I will not be able to write until after the biannual bibliothon, because then starting tomorrow, it's a week of posting videos and reading and stuff like that. So once I can kind of get through that readathon, then I'll have a good few days to, like a good 10 days or so before the next readathon I'm doing, which is Booktubeathon, going from the end of July into the beginning of August, and I'll have a lot of time to like work with the book then. much later in the day, and to update you guys with how the writing progress went today, I ended up revising the chapters involving Mara and Rick to the best of my ability in terms of adding romantic involvement with them, because I feel like that's been a lot of what I've been focusing on lately in like the back of my mind when it comes to looking at this book, is that I don't have enough interactions with them to increase the tension that is between the two of them. And I think in the first chapter specifically, that needs a very heavy hand, and it's not going to be until a little later. I think maybe the next chapter of Mara is going to have a little bit more involvement with Rick really trying to get her to like be with him and hang around him a little bit more, and a lot of like seeing a lot of the turmoil she has with that, because I incorporated several lines of dialogue in the first chapter involving some of the problems that come with her attraction to Rick. And then I think with the next chapter I'm going to write for her, which will be the next time I write, is going to involve more of that. And I had to find some other places I think that will work with incorporating romantic dialogue or romantic aspects, because I don't want it to be a huge focus of the book, but it needs to be a big part of it, because there is a lot of inner turmoil for her when it comes to that. And so then that's ninth chapter is done. I wrote it. It's a few pages. It's not very long. My chapters for Alan and Olivia are much shorter than that of Mara, because they're more so just glimpses of kind of what is happening in order to build some more context of the situation. And Mara's chapters are much more in depth because she is really the main character of the story. And Olivia and Alan are kind of just, they're there for the sake of the plot. So, it makes a lot more sense to me to have Mara be a lot longer and then breaking up the pace of Mara's chapters with the shorter ones of Olivia and Alan. I've had a lot of my friends tell me that that's been really awesome to see, is that they like that Mara is a lot longer as opposed to Alan and Olivia. They said it really broke up the pace a little bit and made it a little easier to move through and made it a little bit more interesting. So now in terms of my plans for the next time I write. So I do plan on writing more by the end of the month, but because of the biannual bibliothon, I need to focus on that. So I'm not going to be writing at all for about a little more than a week, I think, and then I'm going to pick back up with chapter 10. I'm going to make some notes, though, in my journal where I have my outline, basically, before I do that, before I go to bed today, so that I make sure that those thoughts I have are put in, and I make sure that I incorporate anything else any other notes that I need to make sure I remember for upcoming chapters. So currently, when I checked it before I turned off my computer, I had 17,311 words, not including the title page. In total, it's like 17,320 words altogether, which is currently, it's at 53 pages, which isn't too bad considering that I'm only like 10 chapters in. It's going to be much more, though. I think that where I'm at now, I'm going to probably get to over 60 pages by the time this next chapter is done, because this scene specifically is really important in establishing a lot of what's happened in the last chapter, that I wrote, and I'm not going to divulge much information as to what happens because I don't want to spoil anything, and I don't really want there to be someone out there that's going to steal this idea entirely, because that would really suck. So what I will say, though, is that basically in the last chapter I just wrote is the next kidnapping, and so now from here there's a lot of like figuring out what's going on, and so the rest of the book is really just going to be a lot of figuring out who this person is and trying to figure out if they can catch him, which is mostly every crime show you'll ever see. So this is very heavily inspired by the crime shows I watch, the ones that I really enjoy, as well as James Patterson's writing style, and not so much his chapter lengths, but definitely the writing style that he gives. I really haven't, or at least his stories, I've really been inspired by his Alex Cross series to get involved with this kind of a story, and I am really interested to see kind of how I play with it, because I also need to, I think, do a little bit more research with some things. I didn't have to do much research for this because some things I could grab really easily from the crime shows and crime novels I have read. So there's a lot of stuff, terminology and stuff that I use, which I actually realized I went back through the first chapter specifically and I incorporated some terminology more in that, and that was going to be incorporated more again with the next kidnapping and stuff like that. So I'm excited to see where it goes from here. Basically, from here on out, it is going to be me just writing, and then I think I'm going to I'm going to try my hardest not to revise everything I've done already, because I have such a problem with that. I did revise I did revise several chapters today, though, because there was something I realized I needed to do to make the story a little bit better. I don't feel like a lot of the chapters for Alan and Olivia I need to revise as much right now. I feel like I can wait to revise those until much later. It's the ones with Mara I'm more worried about, because she is my main character. So that's going to come with time. So I think I'm going to try to avoid revising anything the next time I write, sometime by the end of next week, maybe into the week after, because there's so much that's going on within the next week. Because next week, basically, I have my last few days with the little girl I babysit before she goes off to Colorado. I have Warped Tour coming up next Friday, which I'm really excited about. I'm going with some friends, and then just a lot of other stuff with the Buy It in the Bibliothon, getting videos out and reading and stuff like that. So that's why a lot of the writing is being put away. But I'm very excited to get back into this when I can, because today was a really fun day for writing. I had a really good time writing this really dark and creepy scene that I did, so I'm really excited. I don't think I wrote more than 1,000 words. I don't really know how much I wrote today. I don't really keep track of word count, honestly, for my goals. Mostly what I'm worried about is getting scenes down, like just specific chapters. Like, I like to work where basically I write a chapter, which to me is an entire scene. Now that may not be the case for other books that I start writing, where it's going to be like that. Maybe like the chapters are broken up by scenes or whatever. But for me, with this story, each scene is a chapter. So, and that's kind of what works best for me. That's the way kind of my mind works when it comes to this, because especially since it's split between 3 perspectives, that's the best way my mind can kind of wrap around this story. So that's kind of the idea. Now, with other books I write in the future, I have another project that I'm kind of thinking of outlining once I get to about halfway through this book, is basically going to it might be a little different, because it's going to be from one perspective, and it's going to take place over several months, maybe even years. I really don't know off the top of my head. I have to really sit and outline the first book, to figure it out, and I also have to like outline the rest of the books that I plan on being in this more supernatural series that I'm planning, just because there's a lot that I want to involve with it, but it also is going to require a lot of research. I talked a little bit about this in my Tome Topple vlog when discussing this, so basically there's just a lot of stuff I have to do for it, but I'm going to wait until I get about halfway done with Like Father Like Son before I even think of outlining it, because I really want to try to get through a good portion of Like Father Like Son first before I do anything, just because I want to be able to get to that halfway point for the first time, like, ever. Good morning, everyone. It is Monday, July 23rd, and I'm going to be writing again today. Last couple of days, or a couple of weeks actually, have been very busy, as many of you guys know. Just recently, the last time I wrote was about 10 days ago, because last week I did the biannual Bibliothon. I am actually currently getting that uploaded right now, and because I have a lot of downtime now, because I'm going to have to wait on my laptop to finish uploading this before I can record stuff, and I have to wait for my sister to wake up before I can go record things so she can watch Kaya, I am going to sit here and do some writing. So today the plan is to at least get chapter 10 done, which is another Mara chapter, which is going to be a little longer. So depending on how long it takes me to write that one, I may even try to write the next Olivia chapter, which will be chapter 11, but it's going to depend on how long it takes me to write Mara's chapter. guys, so I just finished writing that 10th chapter and the video that I was uploading is now done. Basically I wrote about 6 pages, basically like 5 and a quarter really of this chapter. It wasn't going to be overtly long because it was mostly just trying to get Mara to see that like something is happening that's like going to be leading on with the investigation. I think I may add a little bit more at the very end, just before I send off the chapter, because I do need to make sure that the next chapter is indicated that there's going to be another interview with the new kidnapped woman's family. So I'm gonna maybe add a couple more lines of dialogue for that, but pretty much it's done. So I wrote about another, I don't quite know, let me see how many words I ended up writing. So without actually, adding in the last little bits of dialogue at the very end of this chapter, I wrote 1,639 words, which, holy crap, did not think I wrote that many, but that's really good to see that about just over 5 pages worth of writing is like over 1,000 words. So currently I have 59 pages, including the beginning, like the titling of chapter 11, and I am at 18,977 full words, which also includes the title page, that's all skewed because, like the title page doesn't necessarily count, and I don't know if the titling of chapters necessarily counts either, but I'm going to count it. But yeah, so I'm almost at 19,000 words, which is crazy, and I'm at chapter 11 now, like I said. I'm probably going to add in a little bit more before I finally call it for the day in chapter 10, but probably I'm gonna get to 19,000 words by the end of that, because I only have like 23 more words before I hit 19,000. Oh yeah, and I just finished writing that, so now I'm at 19,021 words. Yay!